Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
Let's jump straight into a Super Rugby Aotearoa.
Yes, let's do it. Super Rugby Aotearoa round 9. We've got 2 weeks left of that. The bye for the Highlanders this week. And the first game we have the Chiefs and the Hurricanes, the Chefs. As we've talked about, 4 games in a row. You know, in rugby heaven, they were saying the form team in New Zealand at the moment.
Mate, look, there's a lot to like about the Chiefs here. There's a couple things that are, going to mix this game up a little bit. Ardie Savea, he's out with his MCL injury. Luke Jacobson, he's out. Harry's very, very upset.
My 2 loose forwards, far out.
Harry's very upset. Luke Jacobson woke up, a little bit groggy, probably having too many beers the night before. But because of his concussion history, he's played 80 minutes for 6 matches now, 6 of 6 for the Chiefs. So he was going to get a rest either this week or next week. So this is the week it is because he's woke up a little bit groggy, and that's fair enough.
I agree. Harry, just drop him from your fantasy side this week, mate. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, he'll never play again. And then Sean Waianui, he's also got an illness, which, I don't think he was going to be starting anyway. Last time these two teams came up against each other, the Chiefs, they got their win 35-29. I think this is the one that started the ball rolling for them. They're 4 in a row.
You know how we know that the Chiefs are going to win? Because the Hurricanes can't even beat the Crusaders, and everyone does that these days.
The Hurricanes are struggling. The Hurricanes are no longer in contention for a playoff. So they've made a couple changes with their side.
They're more of a small breeze at the moment.
Yeah, nice. A willy, like we like to call them in Australia. With Ardie sideline, we finally got a chance. We've talked about Captain Mud. This is Captain Grub. Dane Coles looks like he's going to be their captain this week. Captain Grub.
Mate,
you're a better Captain Grub?
Yeah, the thing for me is Cole signing for another 2 years, mate. He's 34, turning 35 this year. In 2023, he'll be turning 37.
If you are,
how will the Hurricanes find him for another 2 years? It makes no sense. They have Asafa Amua.
I don't think.
What are they doing?
It's probably not that big money.
Yeah, but still, he should cash in right now to live on a beach in France, get paid an absolute fortune, and just be injured the entire time. That's what he should.
If you're a Safa Amua or Ricky Riccatelli, you go catch you later and you go to the Highlanders.
Ash Dixon's good, mate.
Yeah, but he's also on his last legs, and he's not going to play till he's 50 like Cole.
Or to be fair, Asafa Amua, you just hit Dane Coles really hard at training because those old bones.
You go play for the Pacifica team.
That's true. Well, what I've said every year is that Asafa Amua just needs to go to the Blues, and then the Blues will be unstoppable. But enough on that. The Canes, Asafa Amua, he is off the bench this week. Talk about impact players. He could very well be our super sub. Talking about
he could be
the fantasy
let's not get too excited. Coles, they like to give him lots of game time as well. Sadly, even though
Cody Taylor got 1.5 points per minute coming off the bench. Last week, the Crusaders. Hannah Asafa Amua beat that. I'm calling 2 points per minute. Let's do it.
I'm calling no. Look, so they're no longer in the running for the finals. They've got no Savea. This is quite ugly for them. It could be quite ugly for them.
Yeah, no Savea's on the field either.
They've decided to make a couple changes. Scrafton's been subbed in for Walker Leaweri into the locks. Kirifi's in, the card magnet in for Savea in his absence. And Ray Arce, he is back on the wing for the bus. So as you said, no Saveas on the field for 80 minutes. That is tough for the Hurricanes. But Cargie, you're really excited. I'm not as excited as you, mate. Brandon Iosi, can you talk to us why you're so excited about him?
He's just been hyped up. You know that I jump at any player that gets remotely hyped up.
That was us hyping him up.
Yeah.
But no, in New Zealand, mate, if any player gets remotely hyped, I jump straight on that train. And
I've got a quote here from you. What I've seen, he seems similar to Marino Michele Tu'u. Kagi, what have you seen of him?
Oh, in the Mitre 10 Cup. I forget which team he plays for.
You don't watch it?
I do, mate. Actually, that's where, mate. Have you not noticed that my entire fantasy team is from New Zealand generally?
Yeah. Headlines, mate.
That's
They're
why
from
I'm
the
losing
headlines.
this year because I don't have enough Kiwis. That is literally the only reason I'm losing. But no, anyway, I'm excited. I felt like the Hurricanes have been lacking that presence since Victor Vito left. Yes, obviously Artie Sevilla plays the entire back row, all three positions, and he carries the entire team on his shoulders. But he needs that Victor Vito with him. Could Braden Iose be that man? I don't know. But anyway, he's kind of a similar build, similar mold of player of Marino Michele too, and I think could be very exciting. So this is obviously him getting his first shot off the bench. He's very young and he's a player for the future, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. All right.
Yeah, you're allowed to be excited, mate.
Thank you.
So what do we think the Hurricanes have to do here to be able to challenge the Chiefs? Harry, do you have any answers for them?
Number one, Karifi needs to not get red carded or yellow carded like he does most weeks. So that's probably the toughest ask for them.
Yep.
Also, I think that Devon Flanders probably needs to have a blinder as the physical presence around the breakdown because I think they're going to lose a lot from the makeup of their back row this week. So that's probably my biggest worry. What else on top of that? I think Dane Coles is going to have a huge game. I think rolling maul trials will be big. I don't know if the Chiefs have an impenetrable rolling maul D. So I think there's an opportunity there for someone as experienced as him. And look, the other thing is the way that we see Ruben Love gel with his back line. And in particular, we saw Salisi Rayasi so dominant to try and get his hands free and put people through the line. How is the team going to function with Ruben Love getting the ball to Salisi Rayasi and to a similar extent, Geordie Barrett? How are those guys going to actually get fed the ball to create enough space for the team to try and score some points?
And another
as
thing,
I said, when Ruben Love played his first game starting, in his first 3 touches of the ball, he'd already exceeded Jackson Garden-Bachop's entire career. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, look, he's an exciting prospect. And look, there's a great player outside you in Nani Laumape if you just need to settle things. Like
I was going to say, yeah. Well, what better way if you're under pressure, just give the ball to Laumape and then you just know that you'll get game line.
Yeah, seriously,
and he doesn't care if you throw him a hospital. He doesn't care as long as you give him the ball, mate. You could close your eyes and throw it over your shoulder.
It's a reset. It's a reset button for you.
There's no such thing. No, it's not. It's better than that.
No, it's a reset button.
It's automatic ad line.
It's a reset button for pressure. Like if you're pressured, you just go Laumape,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it resets and there's no pressure. Like
Yeah.
it just gives you time when you need the time.
There's no such thing as a hospital pass to Laumape because he's so dense and short that literally, he puts his arms up and he's still more dense and less open.
Harry, it's not how the hospital pass is generally thought of because if you give a hospital pass to Laumape, it's actually the other guy that's trying to tackle him that's going to the hospital. That's actually what's happening. He's putting someone
the hospital pass. He becomes
That's
the
it.
ambulance.
No, they've missed an opportunity there. Julian Severe's the bus. They called him the minibus, mate. He should be called the ambulance. 100%. That's so much better. We're coining that.
Honestly, if the ambulance turned his back and put his hands in the air and jumped, I still wouldn't want to hit him.
No way. But look, let's jump over the Chiefs. This is now, we touched on it. They're 4 in a row. This is a confident Chiefs side. There's going to be some changes. Sowakala coming in to that 8 jersey. This is his first chance starting at 8 since last year when they had a winless, was it a winless season? So, I mean, it's been a long road back for him. And he's only there because of an injury to Jacobson, who I think's been absolutely brilliant throughout this year and every chance he is basically had. Do we think that dynamic? We know Sowakala adds a lot in attack. He runs ball in hand. Do we think he does enough around the rest of the field to negate a serious loss here?
Well, it probably shouldn't matter because according to you guys, the best back rower in the world, Lachlan Boshier, is back in the
It doesn't matter.
That's very fair.
Yeah, if this happened a couple of weeks ago when his partner was Kane, troublesome, very troublesome.
Look, I think it depends on which Peter Gus we see. I think he's one of those loose forwards that can turn up and have a blinder, or he can just have a bit of a work rate game, make a bunch of tackles, or he can do absolutely nothing. So I hope that Peter Gus is chomping at the bit to make a name for himself this week because this is potentially his only chance.
Seriously, he has to be chomping at the bit. I don't know if this chance, this chance was going to come in this next 2 weeks. This is his chance now. If he doesn't take it, it's going to be a tough time for him.
Well, it's interesting as well, though, because I think that they were still just trying to ease him back. I think that he's still kind of the preferred number 8. And what I mean by that is Luke Jacobson should be playing 6. If I was choosing my starting Chiefs back row right now with an injured Sam Cane or both captain, I would be starting him. But I would have
What about if you had
Jacobson,
a
Boshi
non-injured
at
Sam
7,
Cane?
Peter Gus at 8.
Look, I was going to say, what happens if you don't have an injured Sam Cane? What happens in that back three? But I don't.
Well, then I just go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
then I drop Peter Gus and I put Sam Cane. Actually, no, I would put Jacobson at 8 then. Well, I put either Sam Cane or Jacobson at 8.
Yeah, no, then you probably put Lachlan Boshier to 6. And
Mate,
Jacobson
Kane's
at
played
8.
eight.
Mate,
He's
we're
heaps for
wearing
the
you
Chiefs.
down.
Yeah.
We're wearing you down. You
Yeah.
just said that you'd move
Look-
Sam Cane to 8.
Another
but
important thing
I
here.
pick Sam Cane before I pick Lachlan Boshier, to be clear.
Okay.
But Lachlan Boshier I would pick over Peter Gus. And because they have...
Okay.
Okay, we've talked enough about this.
Okay,
You haven't
yeah,
convinced
go.
me of shit. Sam Cane's still better. But let's move on. The Chiefs.
Oh, the cute. So another important thing is DMAC shifting back to the 15 jersey, which means Atia back to the bench. And we get Gatlin returning to that 10 jersey. Look, I think Gatlin actually did well against the Crusaders coming off the bench and offered a little bit of attack as well with ball in hand, beat a couple defenders. And I don't know what it is about him. I probably did expect a little bit more from him throughout the year, but I in terms of Gatlin, but DMAC last week, although he was very good at that 10 jersey, he didn't offer the same, spice in attack. I thought maybe if we give him a little bit more game time there, yes, it's something he can continue to build, but DMAC, he's got to be your 15.
It's an interesting one because you'd love to have DMAC have a crack at the youngster Ruben Love lining up against him, right? You'd think he could find some holes, right?
He will.
At the same time, you kind of don't want DMAC at 10 when Lamape is sitting there at 12 ready to just annihilate him at any moment.
The problem is not that. I reckon the problem is that DMAC feels the pressure to distribute at 10, whereas at 15, he feels the freedom to take the ball whenever he wants to and attack the line, which is where he's so good. I think that all of us, despite, being relatively impressed with the other candidates at 10 this year for the Chiefs without being blown away, I think all of us kind of thought because they hadn't absolutely nailed it down, maybe it was a good idea to give DMAC a bit more of a run at 10. But I think last week kind of just cemented home to me. He's a fullback. Leave him there. I think Caleb Trask and Bryn Gatlin both have an argument to try and hold down this 10 jersey, and I think both of them have been pretty good.
Yeah, look, I think they've both been serviceable. DMAC, the one thing he can do before he's at 10, as you said, he's got to offer that attack. He's got to be able to suck those defenders in and have the same mindset, because that 10 and 15 are very similar, but it's like you flick a switch with him and his mindset completely changes in terms of how he plays the game. And look, I was very impressed with his kicking on the weekend and his composure with that sort of thing. But we just want to see him running ball in hand. Look,
very good. I think in rounding out this game, I think I've said often that I prefer Caleb Trask over Gatlin, but I think we can all agree probably in this game they've picked Gatlin for a little bit more structure, a bit more of a kicking game, because that's going to be a hard battle to win when you've got Geordie Barrett who will be thumping them on the other end. So this game, how do we see it going? Look, I'll go first this time. Let's set you guys up the other time. I think the Chiefs will be too much in this game. The forwards have really got it going, and the backs, I think DMAC slotting back to 15. I think they'll just have too much. They're just really on a roll, and the Chiefs are a really massive momentum team. So I think it'll be too hard for the Hurricanes, but who knows? So I'm going to say Chiefs by 8 points.
Oh, Harry?
I'm just going to say my last point because I can't leave it go, because every week I have to talk about Chase Tiatia. Clearly, they don't see him as a winger because, man, he's quite clearly so damn good. I've got Jonah Lowe, and I would rather they drop him and put Chase Tiatia in.
Seriously, though, why can't you try it?
I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, just had to get that off my chest, but I had to make sure I name drop him every week because I have him down the Super Rugby Aotearoa's player of the season.
He could be Super Rugby AU. Could we get him in there?
Yeah.
That's fair. Tips.
I'm with you, Chiefs. 6 points.
Yeah, look, Craigs, I really wanted to do 8 points, but you've done it. I'm going to go 7. Right down the middle of you.
All right, good. Love it.
Okay, excellent. That's the worst choice, but all right.